Hi everyone, this is my discussion leader video for the Ferraro documentary and the Kamala Harris articles. So I'm going to first by talking about and summarizing a little the Ferraro documentary, the Geraldine Ferraro documentary. So I really did not know much information about her to begin with, so a lot of the documentary's information was completely new to me, so I really appreciated being able to see this. And I only have ever known her as, the first vice president candidate. And I really only know her as that and also the VP candidate that lost in the ginormous landslide win against Reagan. So I think it was but obviously she did a lot more than just lose against Reagan, which is why I'm so appreciative, because that's all I knew about her. So the film definitely focused a lot about her life and specifically focused on her nomination as the vice president candidate and what that meant to the women and to the people of America in the 1980s. And it starts off talking about her life and how her life eventually transformed into her political career. And I was really moved by just a lot of her story of growing up with her family. And I was really moved then by the clips of her speaking at the DNC and after or not even just at the DNC, even before her nomination. Just all of the clips of just her standing there and all of the women cheering just made me realize the full weight of her nomination and how women linked all of their personal hopes, issues, and emotions with her. They really projected a lot on her, and they wanted her and Mondale to win, not just for political reasons, but now people felt very emotional and connected to her. It was more than just ideology. It was they really wanted her to be vice president and to be in the White House. And I never knew about any of these trials regarding her husband's business and the taxes and the relation to the campaign. And it's funny that that I didn't learn that in my textbook about the trials of her, because I think that to me, when I started paying attention to politics and all of a sudden, Benghazi, the emails, all of these things, all these scandals happened to Hillary Clinton, and I thought that was somewhat crazy to me, that all of that people were making trials out of nothing and that was allowed to be happening. But I feel like if I knew what happened to Ferraro and her husband and how they purposely targeted her husband, then Clinton's campaign and her whole political career would make a lot more sense, and it would be less surprising. And one last thing I want to talk about with the movie is her comments on Obama and Obama's nomination and win as president. And I think that'd be a good topic to talk about in class, because her quote was a very gray area, and I think I understand like what she's saying or what she was trying to say, but I do not think it was the best phrased. And I think I'm just curious, do you guys think that she had really any place to be making these comments about Obama? If she had any right or authority or knowledge on this subject, like enough to be making these public comments, or even enough to then go on and defend herself. And I don't know how I feel about her completely denying that she isn't racist. But that's just my own personal opinions, and obviously most politicians aren't going to admit that they're racist and will do whatever they can to defend themselves. But I think it's important that all people admit to their unconscious and conscious biases, and we shouldn't just say that we're not racist. Okay, next for the articles on Kamala. I watched the documentaries first, and then I read these articles, and then it just made me realize about how much weight Ferraro's nomination held, and now how much weight Harris and Biden's win really means. And the New York Times article gives an overview about Harris and being elected and how there's a lot of firsts. And there's a lot of firsts that I didn't even think about. Like, I'm pretty sure the Washington Post article talks about how no one knows what Harris's husband, I forget his name, is going to be called. Is he going to be called the first gentleman? We're not sure. So there, a lot of groundbreaking things are happening during this time. And another important part that the point that the article mentions is how Harris attacked Biden on some of his stances on race and specifically busing and schools. And now she says that she's going to fully support Biden's policies. And I'm just curious if, maybe she's just saying it as like, oh, I'm going to support his policies because that's what a vice president should say. But I'm hoping that that she is going to make his policies and the administration as a whole more left and more inclusive, and hopefully she'll create better policies to address desegregating schools and racism. And one question that this article made me ponder a lot, and maybe this is another topic that I'd like for us to talk in class, is that both articles mentioned her dropout of the race and how she was not really that popular. Like, she definitely got some base, but this made me wonder, because once Biden picked Harris, like $35 million more dollars were donated to the campaign in one weekend, I think. And so obviously she is very popular and a lot of people like her, but just what makes me a little confused is why was she not as successful as a presidential candidate as she was as a vice presidential candidate? So are we really going like this slow where we don't even want a woman in the White House as a president? They have to be the vice president first, and then maybe Harris can run or another woman can run. That's just what's crazy to me, is that like, she wasn't that popular alone, but then with a male, she's able to enter the White House. Another point that the article makes is they write, perhaps more than any other vice president in recent memory, she will be carefully scrutinized for her ambitions, a level of attention that is perhaps inevitable for the number two of the oldest country, number one in history. And I feel like, because I think this is the point that they're trying to get at, is because she's a woman, because she's a woman of color, because she's a half Black, half Indian woman, she's going to be definitely scrutinized because she is in the vice president position, and she might be more scrutinized than any other woman in politics ever. So this is something that we're going to have to look out for, is what tactics her opponents and enemies are going to use in order to scrutinize her and undermine her and her policies and her ideas. The Washington Post article brought up something interesting that made me think a lot, and this is another conversation that we can have in class that we sort of started talking about at the end of last week's. Is about her record as a prosecutor and attorney general or district attorney. And so, of course, a lot of people have criticized her, and a lot of far-left people have said that she hasn't done enough for to combat racism or for the criminal justice system, while allies of Harris have argued that that she's reduced marijuana convictions and that she's creating far more progressive policy than other people are creating. So this is where I get conflicted, is how much should we be not recognizing Harris's progressive drug policy, and how much should we still be criticizing it and not celebrating it and not glorifying it at all because of what she is still doing to individuals. Like, I'm sure that the individuals that were put in jail are not really thrilled by how progressive she is on her policy, because it doesn't really matter too much to them. Because so one last thought is that many women like Farrell had to be nominated or throw their hat in order for Harris to be able to have been elected. And it's been a long time coming, and I really like the quote that Harris said: "While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last, because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country full of possibilities. And to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, or our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because you've never seen it before, but know that we will applaud you every step of the way." And I thought this quote was really great, and it reminded me of something that Ferraro said in the documentary. And I really hope that her being vice president, will lead to her being president. I really hope so. And that I hope that her role in the White House won't come under too much scrutiny and criticism. And I hope that people will see her as a great leader, and will vote for more women, and more women will run for more elected office. Thank you.